Hey everybody, and welcome into the Back Porch Sports Report. And before we get into today's episode of Golden Games, I just had to take a moment and with a heavy heart announce, and most of you probably already know this, but on Tuesday, NFL legend and broadcasting legend John Madden passed away at the age of 85. And I just had to take a moment and just say that he is one of the reasons that I actually became a sports fan. I mean, he's the one that got me into football, just listening to him call games with Pat Summerall, and really he called games with everybody. But Pat Summerall was the one that I remember. I know he called them with Joe Buck, and he also called them with Vin Scully and different people like that, but him and Pat Summerall were the ones that really could tell a story during a football game like just about nobody else. And he was, full of life, and he was a character out there, and he made it fun to listen to football. And that was not just for, the hardcore fan, but the casual fan, or maybe somebody that wasn't even a fan of football could listen to him and become a fan of football. He made it easy to understand, and he will truly, truly be missed. Of course, I never missed a year growing up playing his game. Of course, Madden football, NFL Madden football. I actually still play it today, and I will continue to play it in honor of him because he was a visionary, truly, truly was, and he will be missed in the sports community. Once again, John Madden, dead at the age of 85. Now, as we switch gears and get back into the episode that we had planned for you today, it is, of course, an episode of Golden Games, a look at the greatest games ever played in sports history. Each episode that we do focuses on one game or series that had a big impact on how we view sports. We will look at the teams, players, and moments that make it special and memorable. Today's Golden Game is the 1984 Orange Bowl. As we continue our look at some of the greatest college bowl games ever played, the 1984 Orange Bowl was actually the 50th edition of the College Football Bowl game, played at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida on Monday, January the 2nd, 1984. The attendance for the game was 72,549 people. It was broadcast on ABC, with Don Crikey doing play-by-play, along with John Brody and Bill McAtee. Of course, the game was part of the 1983-84 bowl season, and it matched the top-ranked and undefeated Nebraska Cornhuskers of the Big 8 Conference against the number 5-ranked and independent Miami Hurricanes. The game is famous for a coaching call by Nebraska's Tom Osborne after a touchdown late in the fourth quarter, which instead of playing for a tie with an extra point kick, the Cornhuskers went for a 2-point conversion to try and take the lead. Despite being designated the away team in their home stadium, Miami, a heavy underdog, emerged victorious by a final count of 31-30. And thanks to results of bowl games played earlier in the day, the victory ensured that the Hurricanes would leapfrog Nebraska in the polls and become national champions for 1983. Head coach Howard Schellenberger, who had helped build the Miami football program into a contender for national championships, resigned shortly after the game. He did so to pursue a head coaching opportunity in the United States Football League, which was looking to place a team in Miami. Unfortunately, this actually never came to fruition. Now let's take a quick look at the teams. The 1983 Nebraska Cornhuskers football team was coached by Tom Osborne and played their home games in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. They were nicknamed the Scoring Explosion. The team was noted for its prolific offense, which is still widely considered one of the greatest in college football history. The team and some of its individual players set several NCAA statistical records, some of which still stand today. Nebraska scored a total of 654 points during the season. Nebraska's high-octane offense was often unstoppable, averaging 52 points and over 400 rushing yards per game. Mike Rozier finished with a national best 2,486 total yards, with 2,148 of those coming on the ground and 29 touchdowns scored. Against Kansas, Rozier rushed for a staggering 230 yards in the first half and finished with 285 yards for the entire game. At the time, that was a school record. Rozier went over 200 yards in each of his last 4 regular season games of the 1983 season. His magical senior season was capped off when he was awarded the Heisman Trophy, which is given to the best individual player in college football. Also during his senior season, Turner Gill, who was the quarterback, called the signals for one of the most prolific offenses in college football history. Gill finished 4th in the voting for the 1983 Heisman Trophy. Overall, Gill finished with a 28-2 record in his 3 years as a starter, winning 3 consecutive outright Big 8 championships with a perfect 20-0 mark in conference play. Despite this, he was unable to lead the Cornhuskers to a national title, falling agonizingly short in each of his 3 seasons. For the 1984 edition of the Orange Bowl, Nebraska was appearing in their 10th Orange Bowl and the 3rd consecutive. As for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami came in the quiet achiever, having been blown out 28-3 by Florida in their opening game of the season. Many people thought they wouldn't be much of a challenge for the mighty Cornhuskers. Nevertheless, they had won 10 straight games following their opening defeat to emerge as a solid number 5 in the AP poll and 4th in the UPI poll. They were led by redshirt freshman quarterback Bernie Kosar, who had completed 61.5% of his passes for 2,328 yards and 15 touchdowns. He had started all 11 games that season, but Miami had a very good defense. In fact, their defense was the 2nd best in the nation in scoring defense, only allowing 9.6 points per game. And in total defense, they only allowed 259.4 yards per game. Coming into the game, it was truly a big offense, explosive offense against a dominating defense. That always has the ingredients for a very good game. Now, earlier I mentioned about the series of games that happened earlier, bowl games, that allowed this game to take on a bigger significance. Just kind of give you a rundown on those. Earlier in the day, second-ranked Texas had been upset 10-9 in the Cotton Bowl by Georgia, and 4th-ranked Illinois fell 45-9 to unranked UCLA in the Rose Bowl. After Miami took a 24-17 lead over Nebraska in the middle of the 3rd quarter in our game, 3rd-ranked Auburn squeaked out a 9-7 win over Michigan in the Sugar Bowl. This combination of upsets and Auburn's unimpressive win gave Miami the chance to leapfrog to number 1 in the final polls should they be able to defeat the Cornhuskers. Now let's do a game summary for the 1984 Orange Bowl. Nebraska actually came into the game as a 10.5-point favorite, and on their opening drive, the Huskers moved downfield rather easily. However, the Hurricanes got an early lift when they forced Nebraska to attempt a field goal, which they then blocked. It was a huge early momentum swing, and they capitalized very quickly. Bernie Kosar's 2 touchdown passes to Glenn Dennison, along with a 45-yard Jeff Davis field goal, gave Miami a 17-0 lead at the end of 1 quarter. Miami's second touchdown came after linebacker Jack Fernandez intercepted a pass from Turner Gill at the Miami 35-yard line, and Kosar threw a pass to Eddie Brown for a touchdown. But the Kosar to Brown touchdown was erased after Stanley Shakespeare was caught for illegal blocking on the Nebraska defensive end, and thus resulted in a 15-yard penalty at the spot of the foul, but it was still good enough for a first down. Now, with a 17-0 lead, Nebraska didn't panic. Early in the second quarter, Tom Osborne, coach for Nebraska, reached into his bag of tricks. First, in an attempt to confuse Kosar, he switched jerseys between defensive backs Dave Burke and Mike McCashland. As a result, Burke then played in the free safety position and intercepted a pass from Kozar at the Nebraska 26th. You wouldn't see that done today, now would you? Then on the 12th play for a 74-yard touchdown drive, he ran a trick play known as the Fumblerooski. Facing a 3rd and 5 situation, Nebraska quarterback Turner Gill intentionally fumbled the snap from center by effectively setting it on the turf, faking the ball to the fullback Mike Schellen, who, alongside Gill, Rozier, and the tight end Monte Egbritston, ran right. The ball was picked up by All-American offensive guard and Outland Trophy Lombardi Award winner Dean Steinkuhler, who ran left with the ball on a 19-yard touchdown run. While it is neither the first nor the last time this play has been run, it is arguably the most famous occurrence of this play, which is now actually illegal. A touchdown run by Gill later in the period made the score 17-14 at halftime on another 64-yard touchdown drive. It was at this point that the familiar script that everybody expected would again appear after Miami fumbled at the 23-yard line of their own territory, and Nebraska added 3 points to tie the game 17-17. And it was at this point that Miami again decided not to cooperate with it. 2 long touchdown drives of 75 and 73 yards took the score to 31-17 between the passing of Kozar, who passed for exactly 300 yards on the night, and the running of backs Alfonso Highsmith and Albert Bentley, who each contributed rushing touchdowns to cap each drive. Rozier left the game with an injured ankle after having rushed for 147 yards on 25 carries. Nebraska had many opportunities to score without Rozier. Late in the third quarter, Gill ran to his left, intentionally keeping the ball and running into the grasp of a Miami defender before pitching the ball to backup I-back Jeff Smith, who came off the bench and ran for 40 yards before fumbling at the Miami 1-yard line. Miami did recover that fumble. Early in the fourth quarter, after Miami went 3 and out at their own end zone, Gill threw the ball to Scott Kimball into the end zone, but Rodney Bellinger broke up the pass. After Kevin Fagan sacked Gill at the Miami 31, Nebraska was forced to attempt a field goal, which they missed. After Miami went 3 and out, Smith scored on a 1-yard run early in the fourth quarter on a 75-yard drive, which brought the margin back to 31-24. Then Nebraska caught a break when Davis missed a 42-yard field goal attempt that would have made the margin 10 points in favor of the Hurricanes. Then Turner Gill completed a long pass to Fryer, which took the ball inside the Miami 35 with under 2 minutes to go. Following that was an incomplete pass to Shane Swanson, and he also completed a pass to Ricky Simmons down to the Miami 26. After Smith ran for 2 yards, the Huskers called their last timeout. On 2nd and 8 from the Miami 24, Gill found a wide-open Fryer all alone in the end zone and threw a perfect pass, which Fryer dropped. On 3rd down and 8, Gill dropped the ball after Fagan tackled him. Confused, Steinkuhler picked up the ball and ran for a few yards, but the officials ruled it an incomplete pass. After setting up a 4th down and 8 from the Miami 24-yard line, with the clock running down inside a minute, Tom Osborne called for an option play, which Gill ran to his right, initially keeping the ball and running into the grasp of a Miami defender before pitching the ball at the last second to a streaking Smith, who sprinted in the rest of the way, making the score 31-30, Miami with an extra point pending. Now comes what people have affectionately or unaffectionately, or whatever you want to say, called the decision. A successful kick would have tied the score at 31. Instead, Tom Osborne, coach for Nebraska, went for the win and with it risked everything. This is because the NCAA wouldn't introduce overtime for Division I college football until over a decade later. So it would have ended in a tie had he went for the extra point. Miami's Kenny Calhoun broke up the conversion pass from quarterback Turner Gill to I-back Jeff Smith, leaving the inspired Hurricanes with a 31-30 upset victory over the top-ranked Cornhuskers. This always made me think if they had went for the tie and got the tie with all the upsets that were happening, I don't think Miami would have leapfrogged them. They wouldn't have, and I still think Nebraska would have won the national championship that year. But that's just me. A quote from